how to punish a cheating husband.
Wow, that's so deep on the husband and the men.
We are here this afternoon to, as women, we really, really want to punish those cheating husbands. So please give us the good captions on how to make them punished.
One of the things that is very real is men cheat.
They do.
And they say that men have a tendency, or this being in them, of cheating.
Yeah.
Men are alpha males. They feel I can go out and I can get more women. Men are not satisfied with one woman. It's a nature in men to want to explore. It's a nature in men. But it's not God's way.
That's right.
You know, it's not God's way. It's not the right way.
Yeah.
And the truth is, in our society today, many people are cheating. Most men are cheating.
That's right.
And so something has to be done. And women need to know how to deal with a man who is cheating.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that happen when a man begins to cheat, one thing that is very paramount, the man becomes proud, arrogant, and the man does not even reason at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so there's no room for discussion.
Okay, so first deep dive, you brought us a YouTube video about dealing with a cheating husband.
Yeah.
And it's a doozy. This one goes places I was not expecting. It's like a relationship thriller, but with like a hidden agenda.
Right.
Disparate speaker, what jumps out at you right away?
Okay.
This video, it feels like it doesn't waste any time setting the stage.
No, it really doesn't. I mean, she jumps right into this idea that men cheating is practically inevitable.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's almost a natural instinct for them. And she even goes as far as to say that, you know, women need to have a game plan.
Okay.
Because men are just too stubborn to, like, reason with.
Wow.
It's a pretty negative.
It's kind of starting on a negative note.
It is.
Right. Like she's preparing women for battle instead of like a relationship or something.
Exactly. Yeah.
And her first weapon of choice. Cold, hard evidence. Forget open communication in this situation.
Right.
This video says channel your inner detective and like come armed with text messages and phone bills. The works.
Yeah. Be prepared.
Do you think that's really the best way to start a conversation about infidelity?
I mean, it definitely goes against what most relationship therapists would recommend.
Really?
Yeah, think about it. You're already dealing with like the emotional whirlwind of betrayal.
Oh, absolutely.
And now you're also supposed to turn into Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
That can create a really adversarial dynamic from the get-go.
Oh, for sure. It's like pouring gasoline on a fire instead of like trying to put it out.
Exactly.
And then it just keeps escalating from there.
Oh, yeah.
So you've confronted him with this irrefutable evidence. The next step is a classic ultimatum. It's me or her.
Yeah, the classic.
Like, supposedly this forces a decision and prevents him from, like, having his cake and eating it, too.
Right, right.
I don't know. I'm not so sure it's that simple.
Yeah.
This take-it-or-leave-it approach feels very high stakes and, frankly, a bit manipulative.
You've hit on a key point. I think this video seems to really prioritize regaining control and power in the relationship.
Okay.
Rather than like fostering genuine reconciliation or understanding.
Interesting.
You know, it's less about healing the wounds of infidelity and more about evening the score.
Which brings us to one of the, shall we say, more creative pieces of advice.
Okay.
Cutting off benefits.
Okay.
We're talking withdrawing affection, extra care, even serving cold food.
Wow.
It's like relationship Guantanamo.
It's a fascinating tactic, isn't it?
It is.
And one that raises, I think, some serious questions about the video's true intentions.
Okay.
Is the goal here to repair the relationship or to punish the husband?
Ooh.
Because making the home environment like as unappealing as possible doesn't exactly scream, let's work through this together.
Yeah, it feels incredibly counterproductive.
Right.
Like if you're trying to rebuild trust and intimacy,
Yeah.
wouldn't pushing your partner away have the opposite effect?
Yeah, it would seem so.
Like they're playing chess, not trying to save their marriage.
Yeah, it's a game.
And here's where the video takes an interesting turn.
Okay.
So while advocating for this tough love approach, it also encourages women to go out looking their absolute best.
Okay.
To make your husbands jealous.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, hold on.
So it's like...
This is starting to feel less like marriage counseling and more like a masterclass in manipulation.
It's a fascinating contradiction, isn't it?
It is.
On the one hand, you're supposed to make the home environment like as unappealing as possible.
Right.
But on the other hand, you need to be this picture of like confidence and desirability when you're out in the world.
Yeah.
It's enough to make your head spin.
It's giving mixed messages, for sure.
Yeah.
So which is it? Push him away or reel him back in? This video can't decide.
Right.
And this whole idea of like playing it cool, but also trying to make him jealous brings us to her advice about like projecting strength and independence.
Which ironically also involves strategically displaying vulnerability.
What?
Yeah, this video is full of
So tough.
contradictions.
Okay, this is getting juicy. So tell me more about this contradictory advice about appearing strong and vulnerable at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like they want you to become an emotional chameleon.
Right. Yeah, it's almost as if this video wants women to become experts in emotional stagecraft.
Emotional stagecraft, I like that.
Right. On the surface, you're supposed to be this like epitome of strength and independence,
Right.
showing him, you're not crumbling without him.
Right.
But then you're also advised to strategically deploy tears and vulnerability,
Okay.
aiming for that gut punch of remorse.
So basically become a master of disguise.
Right.
Like I'm picturing a spy thriller here, not a marriage counseling session.
Yeah.
But seriously, this whole idea of selective vulnerability feels incredibly manipulative.
Yeah, it certainly raises some red flags. I mean, genuine vulnerability is such a powerful tool for connection and intimacy.
For sure.
But when it's used as this like calculated tactic to elicit a very specific response, it can actually damage the trust in a relationship.
Right. It becomes less about authentic emotional expression and more about like pulling your partner's strings.
Exactly. Yeah.
All
Think
right.
about a time when like you felt someone was being emotionally manipulative.
Yeah.
Did it make you want to open up and be more vulnerable with them?
Probably not.
Probably not, and that's the danger here.
Hmm.
Even if these tactics work in the short term, they can really erode the foundation of the relationship in the long run.
It's like building a house on sand.
Right.
It might look okay for a while, but eventually it's all going to collapse.
Yeah.
And speaking of shaky foundations, this video has some pretty strong opinions about how a wife should interact with the other woman.
That's putting it mildly. The video is very clear. Any interaction with the other woman is beneath you.
Wow.
It's portrayed as this desperate attempt to regain power or relevance, and it supposedly plays right into the other woman's desire for attention.
But isn't that just another way of silencing women and their very valid emotions? Like, infidelity is a deeply personal betrayal. And it's natural to feel a range of intense emotions, including anger towards the other person who's involved.
Absolutely. And this advice completely ignores the fact that every situation is unique.
Right.
There might be circumstances where a conversation with the other person is helpful or even necessary for closure.
Yeah.
But this video takes a very black and white approach.
Yeah.
It's reinforcing this idea that a good wife doesn't stoop to that level.
It's almost as if this video is like trying to put women back in a box,
Right.
dictating how they should behave in the face of betrayal.
That's a great observation because despite its claims of like empowering women, this video seems to reinforce some pretty outdated and potentially harmful gender roles.
Interesting.
It's all about control, manipulation appearances rather than genuine communication, vulnerability, and healing.
So after diving into this video, I have to ask, do you think any of this advice is actually helpful? Or is it all just a recipe for disaster? It reminds me of that saying, you can win the battle but lose the war. This video seems so focused on the short-term wins, like catching him out and asserting dominance, that it misses the bigger picture of what it takes to like build a healthy and trusting relationship.
And that's where I think this video really falls short.
Okay.
It's like putting a Band-Aid on like a gaping wound.
Right.
It might cover up the problem temporarily, but it doesn't address the underlying infection.
Okay.
Infidelity is often a symptom of much deeper issues within a relationship.
Interesting.
Communication breakdowns, unmet needs, feelings of resentment.
Yeah.
And those issues require a much more nuanced approach than simply trying to outsmart or manipulate your partner.
It's like trying to treat the symptom without even addressing the illness.
Exactly.
So if this video's playbook isn't the answer, what is? What advice would you actually give to someone grappling with the aftermath of infidelity? Where do they even begin to pick up the pieces?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's crucial to just acknowledge the intense emotional turmoil that comes with infidelity. Feel your feelings, the anger, the betrayal, the sadness.
Yeah.
Don't try to suppress them or pretend they don't exist.
Okay.
Those emotions are valid, and they deserve to be acknowledged and processed in a healthy way.
It's like that old saying, the only way out is through.
Yeah.
You can't heal what you don't acknowledge.
Exactly. And that healing often requires seeking support outside of the relationship.
Okay.
Talking to a therapist or counselor can provide a safe and non-judgmental space to process your emotions, explore your options, and develop healthier coping mechanisms.
Okay, so like a third party, someone who's been trained to deal with this.
Right. They can help you navigate the complexities of the situation and make decisions that are aligned with your own values and long-term well-being.
And it's so important to remember that you're not alone in this.
Absolutely not.
Infidelity is sadly more common than we'd like to think.
Yeah.
And there are countless resources available to help individuals and couples navigate this.
Right.
Don't be afraid to reach out for support, whether it's from a therapist, a support group, or like trusted friends and family.
Yeah. And remember, there's no right or wrong way to heal from infidelity.
Yeah, okay.
Some people choose to fight for their relationships and rebuild trust,
Right.
while others decide to walk away.
Okay.
Both choices are valid, and ultimately the most important factor is what feels right for you.
This deep dive has been a roller coaster of emotions.
It has.
From outrage to empathy, from frustration to hope, we've explored the good, the bad, and the downright manipulative.
We have.
When it comes to dealing with infidelity, but ultimately the message we want to leave you with is one of empowerment.
Absolutely.
You are not defined by your partner's actions.
Yes, we're not.
You are strong,
Yeah.
capable, and deserving of love and respect.
Yes, you are.
And while this experience may leave scars, it doesn't have to dictate the course of your life or your future happiness. So to our listener, wherever you are in your journey, please know that you're not alone. Take your time, be kind to yourself, and trust that you have the strength and resilience to navigate this challenge and create a future filled with love, joy, and authenticity.
I completely agree.